background about me and who I am. I'm originally from Detroit, Michigan. I grew up in a single-parent household. Anybody know Detroit?
Detroit.
That's where I'm from. I'm a little black boy from Detroit, and I saw CNN every weekend talking about money. Now, when you tell me that things aren't possible and dreams don't come true, when I can't do something, I don't believe it.
Yeah.
Because I got on CNN because I wrote a book, and let me tell you how I wrote this book. I wrote the book because I graduated from Clyde University, not truly knowing, whoa, CAU. So we found a way of making that. So I graduated from Clyde University, and I realized that I wanted to do something different. I didn't know what that was, and I ended up stumbling into the mortgage business. Have y'all ever stumbled into something? I stumbled into the mortgage business, but when I realized my stumble wasn't really a stumble. It was a path that had been laid out for me, but at the time I didn't realize. And so I got into the mortgage business, and when I got into the mortgage business, I found myself doing the stuff that everybody else didn't want to do. I was throwing the stuff that thought couldn't get done. I was the only little guy that looked like me in an office of other people. And I was doing these things, and I began to work with people, and I began to educate people and show them a way out of nowhere. How they could get that thing that they saw was special to them. But what I also realized is that as soon as someone would come to my office and would sit down, one of the first things they would say to me was, when you see what had happened was, y'all heard somebody say that, I'm in the right place, right? You know it. They would say, what had happened was, see, I co-signed for my cousin and he never paid that car note. Or I was married and we had a divorce and it got real nasty and things happened on my credit. Or what had happened was, and I would hear these stories over and over again, I began to carry these people on my back. And at night I would go home and say, you know, I got to do something different. By the time I was 24, I had made more money than anybody in my family. I was making 6 figures and I thought this was life. By the time I was 25, 26, I had lost more money than anybody had in my family. And so I had to realize that there was a different way, and the people that I was helping and engaging, that they were coming from the same place I had, where my mother never sat down and talked to me about finances. We didn't have the conversation in my house about budget, about credit, about those things. We just did the things that I think are so crucial to our lives. And so when I would hear these stories, I said, I got to give something to these people. I got to do something. So I decided to start a publishing company, and I wrote a book called What Had Happened to Us. A realistic way to view a deal of a lifetime. The book was about 4 characters that lived in a town called reality, somewhere between perfect bliss and rock bottom. Too good to be true, just to get by, D. Joneses, and couldn't care less. They were all trying to get a special deal, and a special deal was freedom. The ability to live out your dreams, to answer your questions on what you've been waiting for. So it showed what different personalities would or wouldn't do to get something they considered to be special to them. And so I wrote that book, and probably after 2 weeks after publishing it, I ran into someone from CNN, put the book in their hands, told them the book was amazing, it was wonderful, they needed to see it. And a week later, they had me on the air, and that was 6 years ago. So when you tell me you don't have a journey or a purpose or a passion and not to pursue it, I believe that if I would not have pursued my passion, or pursued what I thought I was supposed to do, I wouldn't be standing here in front of you, I wouldn't have gotten off the CNN set this morning. And so I'm someone that believes that there's something that we all have a desire to do. And we've got to be able to step into it, and we've got to understand what I call your wealth, which is the wisdom to establish assets to leverage the harvest. Okay, it's the wisdom to establish assets and leverage the harvest. And what that means is we've got to be wise enough to know who we are. We've got to know who we are internally, but we also have to be wise enough to know where we are right now at this moment. But we also have to know where we want to go. But at that point, then we have to establish, why do we even want to go further? What's your why? What's the thing that drives you? What is that thing that keeps you up late at night, wakes you up early in the morning, and makes you want to go? What's your why? It's got to be more than a paycheck. And then how? What's my plan? How will I get from where I am to where I want to go? How will I establish that? What are the goals I'm setting for my life? And how will I achieve those goals? And what are the objectives that help me get to that goal? Then I have to also look at my assets. My assets are not just the money that I have in my pocket, but they're my gifts, my talents, my time. I've got 86,400 seconds of each day. How will I spend that to make an investment that returns to me? I also have relationships. I also have ambition. I also have ideas. I also have knowledge. Those are assets. If I have no money and I have those things, I can make money. So those are the assets. How can I use those assets to leverage them to get my harvest? And that harvest is that thing that you see going back to the ocean, standing and looking out and saying, that's where I want to go. That's the harvest I see for my life. So I wrote this book. What had happened was, and it's open there for sale. If you want to peruse it and take a look at it, I'm going to pass that collection plate so you can store it to my dreams. But I want to leave you with this. When I started writing a book, it made me think about where I had come from. It made me think about the ups and the downs that I had encountered, the things that had happened in my life. Being able to say that I stand here before you and not always have it, but I've had to make payment arrangements. I've had to make sure that I had more money than I had month when it was tough sometimes. I had to get to the point where I realized it's not how much you spend or how much you make, but how much you spend. And so when I started to think about it, I started to hear the stories and people talk to me, I thought about the characters, I realized that too good to be true, just to get by, D. Jones and couldn't care less. We've all been one of those characters at one point of our lives. We continue to be one of those characters or a combination of those characters. That's just reality. Somewhere between perfect bliss and rock bottom. So I think about it like this. We were thrown into a system that we don't understand, feeling like there's a foot on my neck holding me down that belongs to the man. But the man is Visa and American Express, and then I discovered that's why I stress. I feel like I can't escape and that this is my fate. They gave me a water bottle and a t-shirt, so I took the bait. I didn't even know the rate. Now I've got a card feeling hard because now I can charge. What do you ask? Well, stuff I think I need, which I should be using cash to buy, but instead I'm paying crazy fees. With a promise to pay later, but later comes quick, so my charges turn to collections and these constant calls are making me sick. You see, I was given a weapon and never trained for its use, so it didn't take long for my use to turn to abuse. And now my credit score is dropping like flies, and I really can't be surprised, and who really hears my cries? Or is it that I'm not crying out loud enough? I'm too busy trying to act tough, like I know it all and have the answers, while this debt gets out of control, interest compounds and grows like cancer. You see, I got myself in this bind because I can't pay my bills on time, and I'm overextended, not sure if you comprehend it, but if you breathe, they'll lend it. And as soon as you don't pay, the credit repositories will report it in the form of a 30 or a 60 or a 90-day late, usually for me being irresponsible and choosing to wait, or forgetting to mail it off before the due date. And I've been up more than I can chew, and now these hard times are spreading fast like the flu. It's hurting my profile, a snapshot of who we are, so now I'm known as a guy with the lates on the car. Or a string of collections that follow me like LoJack, because I borrowed more money and I really couldn't pay back. Even though scores range from 300 to 900, you can find me stuck at the lower end of that scale, living each day scared to check the mail. When you think about it, it's really sad. When asked about my credit, I say it's okay when I know that it's bad. You see, I spent the money as quick as it came, and now I got to get the lights turned on and my mama in the name. So many bills to weed through, I feel like myself, I've become past due. Later delinquent when my trips to the payday loan spot have become more and more frequent. You see, God had a plan for my life, and I know it wasn't this, to fall victim to the myth that ignorance is bliss. Yeah. So know your status, check your score. Education is the key to empowerment, power is the key to prosperity, but we can't grow without clarity. So realize that stupid is and stupid does, and move past it now and tell your story like, well, what happened was.